They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right, team. Welcome to the Bowler Athlete Podcast. I'm Josh, and I'm excited to hang out with Luke Ahlfield.
Yep.
Am I saying that last name right? Okay.
Yep.
I've spelt it wrong countless times.
Everybody does. Somehow I've had an S put in there somewhere instead of an H when it's basically just the silent H and it's all field. So yeah, you got it right.
Ahlfield. All right. Well, I got it, which is crazy. So first off, Luke, I'm so excited that we get a chance to just talk. Before we hit record here, you and I were just reminiscing on like, man, we've been texting each other for a long, long time, but we've never spoken face to face. We've never seen each other face to face or in person. We've never even spoken like face to face like this. So this is long overdue.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, thank you again, man. And let me give you a quick introduction for all that are listening on who the heck you are. These things do not define you, but there's certainly some qualities that you possess, which are pretty unique. You're a husband, you're a father, you're a teacher as a profession. You're a strong man, either you're wicked strong and you're a man. So you're a strong man. I don't know if you're competing in strongman currently. You just won the MFC championship in the 40 to 44 division, which is freaking awesome. I consider you a friend, and you're just a really inspiring man and human because of the life that you lead. And we're going to get into some of that, but I really appreciate you making time and getting to connect.
Thank you. Glad to be on here. I've watched all of them so far, except for the last one that just came out. I haven't watched it just yet, but I've watched every single one of them. They're always super interesting, and I enjoy watching them. So I'm glad to be on it, and hopefully mine turns out just as good as some of the others.
Yeah, well, that's the magic of
mine. Doesn't just get the one view, or maybe two, my parents and my wife.
Hey, we got to start somewhere if they're not watching.
Right?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's always, I'm curious, like who does watch these? I wonder sometimes, but so far the feedback's been positive, which I'm really grateful for. And, it's really because we have so many cool stories in the community, both as Boulder athletes and the broader community. And yeah, I just want to help shine a light on some of those cool stories. And you are definitely one of those, Luke. So we're going to get into some cool stuff today that I'm excited to talk about. And I also shared this with you in advance, but I don't know if I've said this out loud on the podcast, like for our listeners, is, talking about fitness is probably the most obvious thing for any of us to talk about. We're all, doing CrossFit. And so it's the thing that probably connects us the most in terms of areas of interest. And so we'll talk about some fitness, but I love talking about things that are non-fitness related that really make up who you are as a person, who we are as people, who we are as a community, the things that have shaped us, the lessons that we have learned, the trauma that we've experienced. Like, not that I'm trying to get all vulnerable, but I really appreciate those conversations because I think people can resonate. I don't know if that's where we'll go today, but I have a suspicion that we might get into some things that are not fitness related and that people will find inspiring.
I think that's why the podcast does so well, and I enjoy watching it because most of the people you have on there, we see them on Instagram or wherever, and it's always fitness, fitness, fitness. So it's kind of fun to see their background or hear their background and get to know them a little bit other than just seeing some of their videos.
Could not agree more. Some of who I consider, like, I don't know if I would say they're my closest friends, but people that I just have so much respect for and I feel really connected with, and I'm grateful for the connection, are people that I've had on this podcast. And the podcast is what started that connection. Like, man, that's a good person. I need to spend more time with them. So I'm selfishly very grateful for this platform because I get to meet a lot of really cool folks. So a lot of things that we can get into. Let's start a little bit with just your background. Okay. By the way, that's a beautiful looking shirt. It looks really, really good on you. I'm glad you
probably my favorite, other than the one that I wore at MFC during our last workout. For some reason, I feel like when it cuts the sleeves out of that one, it would like made my arms look even bigger. So it's like my favorite one. I don't know why. It was a perfect cut on the sleeves. when you get that perfect sleeveless shirt cut, you're like, this is it. That
Yeah.
Boulder shirt's my favorite because of that, I think. But this was my favorite design I got whenever I first joined.
Right on.
I figured I
Well,
had to rock it out.
you made a good decision. I happen to know the guy who designed that shirt, so good stuff, man. And I know exactly what you're talking about, that sleeveless cut that's, like, impossible to replicate.
Yep, you never can.
The one shirt that, like, somehow you got it right,
Yep,
and
yep.
I know.
And
I
it
don't even
would just happen to be a Boulder one, and I wore it on the last MFC workout, and I was like, "Man, that shirt looks good." It was a perfect cut. So it's probably my other favorite Boulder shirt.
Yeah, alright. Well, we're gonna have to see some pics of that. I gotta see those arms. Okay, let's get into your background. Start wherever you wanna start, but kind
Okay.
of the thing that I don't know, but I am curious because I've seen you move. You're such a fluid athlete. You're a very big, strong dude. And so it's always shocking to me when I see you move, I'm like, "You're more than a big, strong guy. You're a real athlete. You move fluid, and you can tell you're a coordinated individual, and so that comes through in your fitness." Where did that come from? Where'd you
I
build that?
mean, I don't know because honestly, not that I know of anyway, neither one of my parents are played sports or anything like that. My dad was always he's a big like cowboy basically, so he done a lot of horse riding and he loves rodeo and stuff like that. But I don't know. I know one of my first real sport, I guess, I got into martial arts when I was in like third grade. I wanted to be John Claude Van Damme. He was jacked and huge and he could fight and he could do the splits. So, I would even I would even train. I started martial arts in third grade and then I would be in my room and I don't know if you ever saw a kickboxer where they tie his legs up and pull the legs and make him do the splits. Oh yeah, I would set up contraptions like that to help myself learn how to do splits. I mean, if that
Oh,
doesn't like that's just how my brain is. When I set a task, I'll figure out how to do it no matter what.
mm.
And so I don't know if it's just something I'm really good with replicating when I see something, and I'll do it until I can replicate it. And over the years, it just became one of those things. I got real coordinated with stuff. So I picked up on things fast, even when I was young. And I did martial arts probably. I mean, I was pretty much a black belt, and I just didn't test for it because picked up basketball. And then when I was in fifth grade, I started playing basketball, and I did that all through high school. I did a little bit of football my senior year, but surprisingly, you would think I was probably a big football player or any physical sport. It was basketball. That was my sport.
Hmm.
I don't know, I was not tall. I wasn't small, but I could shoot really good. But I led our team in shooting and rebounding and I led him in the big guy stuff and I led him in the small guy stuff. So it was a sport I stuck to and because I enjoyed it. I think it's because I was good at it. And I don't know if I played football my senior year and it came easy to me, obviously, but I don't know if it was because it wasn't a challenge as far as like I should be playing that. So it was, basketball seemed like a challenge because I wasn't supposed to be that good at it.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of the times that's how my brain works is if that's simple and I should be good at it, it's like, I don't know, that's not as fun. So I always veer towards the stuff I see people doing that I shouldn't be doing, so I don't know. I don't know if it's just I happened to be very athletic or I picked it up because I want to be as good as everybody is at whatever they're doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. One clear distinction I need to make. You said you led the team in shooting. Do you mean you
Yeah.
led the team in scoring or you just
Sorry,
shot
sorry,
the ball?
sorry. Yes. Well, I led the team in 3-point percentage, scoring, field goal percentage, free throw percentage. I had the
Okay.
rebounds. I was just the guy that wanted to collect everything. If someone could do it better than me, I was like, no, I'm going to do it better than you now. Even when you know, played football my senior year, they made me be a lineman because I was like one of the bigger guys on the team, but I made sure I was faster than our fullback when we did stuff. And I made sure but so I'm just weird. I don't
No,
like, I'm a weirdo, I guess, when that comes to those things.
I mean, what weirdo is one way of describing it. I would say you're competitive and
Yes. Yeah, I guess you could say it that way.
then, there's a lot of people that are competitive, but then there's a lot of people that are competitive to the point where you're willing to go do the extra things that allow
Yes.
you to exceed the competitive level of others.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's
do
one of
that.
the biggest things. So yeah, I was out in our yard shooting baskets day in and day out until it gets dark, or even if after dark, I would have my dad rig up lights on top of a tree limb just so they would shine on the hoop so I could shoot for hours on after the lights went out and stuff. So I think I'm just one of those things. I may not be the most athletic or may not used to be, but I don't know if it just became one of those things because I worked until I could do something over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, basketball was the big sport before anything else. I didn't even really lift and work out that much other than growing up on in the country, baling hay with my dad for horses and stuff. That was like my farm boy strength, I guess. But I never
Wow.
really, I lifted a little bit because my dad loved Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he always lifted like him and worked out like him. So I would, copy him once in a while, but that was about it up until, high school and stuff.
So the very clear theme that stands out here is when you do something, you go all in on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
It's a good
certainly
thing and a bad thing.
exactly, which is kind of where I'm going to. And we'll fast forward to this conversation. And we've touched on this. This has come up in a couple podcasts now to a certain degree. But when I think of this concept, actually, you are the person that comes to mind first for me, just because you and I have had conversations like how you've navigated and the impact it's
Yeah.
had, which is the leaderboard. So
Yeah.
we'll circle back a little bit. The point that I was making before is, look, it's very clear. When you go into something, you're all in. So when you're into CrossFit and competing in CrossFit, you're all in.
Yeah.
And so as someone who then goes all in, you're trying to measure the success of your input.
Yes.
Hey, I'm making this big investment. I'm all in. Am I getting out what I feel like I'm putting in? And then,
Right.
how do you measure it? Well, the leaderboard on the
Yeah.
day to day is one of those things.
Yes.
And if it's not going the way you want it to go on the leaderboard, then you're like, well, what the heck is going on here? Is
Yep.
it me? And it can just tailspin. And so
Yeah.
talk to me about your experience with that. Because I know it has impacted you.
A ton. And, I feel like there used to be no, like, because I've been doing CrossFit since 2009. So, there wasn't a lot of leaderboard stuff other than if you did the open,
Yeah.
and when it started. Once that all started, it was like a different thing where you had a way of being able to see how you do it, day to day CrossFit. I know for me, I'll be the first to tell someone that, you're not going to have a good day every day, and you can't. And you can't push yourself that hard every day. But then I'll be the first person that will look at the leaderboard and be like, I'm going to try to beat that score. I don't care. And I'll push myself to beat it. But it's a hard thing. And I've done a lot of, I don't know if I'd call it burning myself out, but it's just where I call it burnout. But, it's just where I wear myself out mentally because, I just want to go, I'll push myself to be at the top as much as I can, or try to be at the top. Or if I wasn't, then I'll push myself a little harder. But for me, mentally with the leaderboard, it was just one of those things where if I didn't do well, like you said, I would be like, well, what am I doing wrong? Why didn't I do that well? That's something I should have done well at, or I should be as good as that guy, or, why am I not as fit as I feel like I should be? Or why did that go as way as it did? All those questions go through my head, and then I'll do that. I'll talk about that until I have a good day. It's like if a bad day happens for me, it lingers until I have a good day. And I'm like, okay. So the leaderboard thing is very tough on me as far as like letting stuff go, which is weird because at competitions I can let it go in a heartbeat anymore anyway. I guess when I was younger I didn't, but like MFC, I didn't have too many real bad workouts, but like one of them that didn't go as good as I wanted it to, it was like, oh well, I mean, I did the best I could at the time. I can't change it. But for some reason that not in person leaderboard, it just that you can see daily, it gets me pretty riled up, and it's hard for me to not hold back, I guess.
It's interesting to hear you say that when you were at MFC, it had less of an impact on you because, you could just kind of put it off. But on the leaderboard, there's so many more unknowns on the digital leaderboard.
Yes.
When you're like, I kind of know some of these names, but I don't. And then you're like, is that real? Are they legit? Are they lying? That's frustrating. What's their, they don't have the integrity. Like you can get into this of the what ifs, but in person, let's say you and I are competing side by side and I'm like, hey, Luke just beat me in this workout. I'm like, well, that was legit. I saw it.
You see it. That's
I know
probably
this guy.
the biggest thing. Yeah.
He's fit. He's earned it. Like he got it. And so that's easy to go, hey, I put up a good effort and I saw what he did and he got me and I can live with it. It's harder to live with when it's, just random people on a leaderboard that you don't know and you can't help but question, wow, that's an incredible score. How did they do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've definitely, when I was with Mayhem, this was a bigger challenge for me because there was more people on the leaderboard, like hundreds, and you're like, I don't know any of people. I feel like I'm fit, but gosh, these guys are kicking my butt.
I think
And
Mayhem was the first real leaderboard, online leaderboard like that I did also, was Mayhem programming.
yeah, and I mean, I won't name names or unveil any secrets, but like there were some real frustrated folks
Yes. Yes.
that were
Yeah.
very bent on some people in particular that just seemed to be like serial liars on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Because you're like, there's just no way that this is possible. So I don't mean to go into that, but what I am saying is it can be a real
Yes.
mind, you know what,
Hmm.
when you feel like you're investing all this stuff and the performance, you're like not top of the leaderboard or top 5 or whatever your aspirations are,
Right. Right.
that can be tough. So now
Yes.
you've established that it's tough. What do you do about it? Like, how have you navigated that before?
Before, I mean, and it might just be one of those things that I thought was a problem, but it actually was just a natural occurrence of me doing something. I would kind of just change gears. I think that's how I ended up doing different things all the time. Like you said, I was a strongman competitor. I think that popped out of because I was kind of burned out doing whatever programming it was. And I pushed so hard on it, leaderboarding. And I was like, I got to take a break. So I stopped that programming and I'm like, I go the opposite way just to ease off of whatever it is I was doing, kind of like an off season that people do. For me, instead of staying on Mayhem and taking that off season and using their programming still, I have to completely stop it. It's like I have to be on something totally different. So like the very first time I joined Mayhem, which I think I remember like seeing your name on there before we even met or talked. I remember seeing your name on there when I first joined Mayhem. And funny story is right before I joined Mayhem the very first time, I actually joined Boulder right when they first started.
Hmm.
And I got on there and I bet there was only like 3 or 4 people I saw on the leaderboard. And I was like, this must be either not good or it's brand new. I don't know. So I was like, I'm going to go back to Mayhem.
Yeah,
It was like when I would have been probably one of the top OGs on Boulder if I stayed that day. But I was like,
probably.
this looks too new. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember doing Mayhem and I was roughly trying to get back into CrossFit again because my last CrossFit competition and really doing CrossFit was like 2018. I did the game. That's how I met Jamie and them. I did Granite Games and stuff. I was like, and I went hard on that one to get ready for it. It was my first Masters competition and everything. So I was pretty burned out after that. So I went into just Olympic weightlifting afterwards. I was like, I'm going to try Olympic weightlifting just to have myself take a break from it and not eyeball anybody else doing stuff. And it kind of forces me to take a break. So it's like, I kind of have to do a 180 in whatever I'm doing and completely change.
Yeah.
But the problem is I'm always switching and it seems like a lot of people see, well, he's always doing different things. He can't stay on one thing. But I think that's for me how I get away from the leaderboard for a while. Cause I'll always compare myself if I'm doing the same stuff all the time. Even if I stayed on Mayhem, I would be comparing. Even if I said I wasn't, I would. And it'd still be getting to me. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to.
I
But
know
for
there's
me,
a big
for me,
one.
it's just changing what I'm doing. Almost taking a legit off season and be like, well, I'm just doing strength. And then I legitimately go to strength. And that's how I fell into strongman competitor last year, the year before, whatever year it was I kind of pushed real hard on Mayhem. My goal was to go to the games and do the open that year, but I pushed a little too hard too early. And some of the name people you were talking about that seemed like they were giant liars, I was always like, I got to see if I can get that score just to prove them wrong when they're lying. And I think I pushed myself too hard trying to do stuff like that. And I just end up burning out real bad.
Yeah. And then, so to be as fit, like I know you're fit. You're really darn fit. And you're really darn strong. And so to push for you, to push as hard as you're pushing, and I bet you still weren't beating this. I know at least one person I'm thinking of
Yeah. Yeah.
that was like the first person ever, still not beating them. And you're like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
isn't possible. And so it just
Yep.
adds to the frustration. And what's crazy, Luke, is like, we're two mature adults. We
Right.
should be able to just go, you know what? This
Yeah.
clearly is falsified.
Yeah.
Let's not stress about it. But no, our competitiveness and our ego
Oh.
win and just takes over our wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which,
Well,
golly.
I'll even tell myself and be like, just don't look at the leaderboard for a while, or don't look first or whatever. And then, I'm like, "Oh, I'll just see." And then I check it. And then even if it's a day, yeah. And even if it's a day where I'm like, I don't feel it, I didn't get much sleep, I'm just going to go through the motions. But as soon as I saw, his score, I'd be like, it's on. And I would force myself on a day I shouldn't have to go too hard. Obviously, when you're not recovered enough, it ends up leading to burnout. My burnout always makes me have to just be like, dead stop. It's like all or nothing. If I'm not going to be doing that for a while, I got to stop doing it for a while and do something
Yeah.
different.
Well, I mean, there's blessings and curses to that.
Yeah.
The blessing is like, hey, it really accelerates your development in whatever that is.
Yeah.
If you're all in on something, yeah, you're going to progress faster than people that are 3/4 of the way in or
Right.
halfway in.
Right.
So there is a real blessing in that, and you grow and learn and all the things. But, the curse being like you can hit the wall. And
Yes.
then if that wall means, some people will hit the wall and go, all right, I'm going to climb over the wall. Okay, I'm going to slow things down and like step back
Yeah.
from the wall, work around, whatever. And sometimes it means, no, I'm going to turn around and I'm
Mhm.
going back and I'm just changing directions. And in your case, there's some of that going on, which is like, I just need
Yeah.
to go reinvent myself in a
Yeah.
different category. So you go from CrossFit to strongman,
Yeah.
from strongman to Olympic lifting. Now, these are not the most unnatural
Right.
evolutions. They're obviously connected and all of them kind of build on top of
Oh
each
yeah,
other.
for sure.
And then back to CrossFit. In a weird way, I'm sure there was probably a long-term benefit for you in like
Yeah.
your strongman training. You're freaking strong as an ox. Your Olympic training to like improve all of your body awareness and technique. All of that translates back to
Oh
CrossFit
yeah.
in a really positive way.
And it's probably, like I said, it was probably a blessing in disguise where I thought I was just wimping. I always said I was wimping out, and just there I would almost try to make myself feel better about stopping CrossFit for a little bit to do something else, by saying, well, it's too hard, it's stupid, it's too hard on the body, I obviously can't do it because I'm too big for CrossFit, I'm this or I'm this. And then I would, go all in on whatever it was, Olympic lifting or whatever. But like you said, I think that's how I gained a lot of the strength I gained, because I've always been fairly strong, but like every time I went away and then came back, it was like I was even stronger. So then I started to be known as like the strong guy. And I didn't try to be the strong guy. It's just I went away to do an off season kind of thing and focus purely on strength. And then I was that much better when I came back. And like I'm glad I did strongman. I don't think I've ever been this strong or it overlay into CrossFit this well from any other strength thing I've done and come back to CrossFit from.
Yeah, it's a
So
little
that
scary.
one worked out real well.
I'm like, do I need to get myself in a strongman?
It worked out real well.
It worked
Yeah.
out
It
pretty
was it
good.
was definitely a good way to go.
Yeah,
It was
heck
tough
yeah.
though.
And so, like, you have this unique intersection. One, you have this unique story, but as I kind of started this discussion, is you've intersected this incredible strength with really good fitness from like a cardiovascular perspective, enough so that you can be really competitive in CrossFit, but you also just move really well. So you
Mhm.
have the efficiency of someone that would be like half your size in terms
Yeah.
of movement quality and technique. You don't typically see that out of someone that is your size, but then you have your size
Yeah.
that brings all of the things you would expect your size to bring, which is, crazy strength. Which, by the way, can you tell folks what are your dimensions? Like, how tall are you? What do you weigh?
I am 5'11" probably and about 220, 225 normally.
So that's
Yeah.
how envision that. Like you can
Most of it
see,
might be in my calves, I think.
yeah, you do have some monster calves, man. I'm just a little jealous. Uh, yeah, like a 20-pound athlete, the things that you typically wouldn't be good at are things like gymnastics,
Right. Yeah.
burpees, just basic CrossFit things. But when I see you move, I'm like, you don't move like a 220-pound guy.
Right.
You move more like a 180-pound guy, and so that's always the thing that strikes me. And then, yeah. And then I see you pick up a barbell and I'm like, oh crap, he's 220. Look out.
The gymnastics stuff has just always been fun to be able to do as a big guy, because everybody's like, "Whoa, you can do that!" So just doing that kind of stuff too is it. Like obviously the barbell stuff I'm really good at. Like I told you with the sports, I'm not supposed to be good at the gymnastic stuff. So I've worked pretty hard, especially since joining Boulder. I've worked pretty hard on the gymnastic stuff and getting efficient with them, being as big as I am and trying not to tear up my arms and stuff, being this heavy, doing them all the time
Yeah.
because it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually 210, 205 is my fighting weight, but I go through a
Mhm.
lot of grips. because my body
Yeah.
just tears those grips
Yeah.
apart. And a lot of volume
I
involved.
just got to where I knew how to use the grips right. I
That,
never really used them that often. That's why Luke, he would always, little Luke, whoever, he's probably gonna get mad at me for saying that on here. He always, when we first got to know each other or whatever, he always like, you don't wear grips. I'm like, no. And I wouldn't wear grips for bar muscle ups, toes to bar. I think I wore them for pull-ups a little bit, and that was it. Usually I was bare hands because I never could get them used right, and so my hands were always tore up because I'm, lots of friction. But yeah, now I finally figured it out, and it's a lot nicer.
yeah, no doubt about it. Let's see, man. There's lots of ways I want to go. I'm trying to think what feels like the right next step. I actually want to take a big shift in gears, and because we've talked a lot about fitness here, I've loved this discussion. But you have a whole nother side to you, Luke, that is your family and a very unique family and a unique dynamic that I don't think many people know about. Those that follow you on social media, you're open
Yeah,
about it. You've talked
yeah,
about it. I'm sure that they know, but not everybody that's listening to this follows you on social media. Can you
right.
just talk to me a little bit about your family, the unique dynamic that you have, and just kind of how that's impacted you and shaped you as a person and as a husband?
Yeah. Well, we have me and my wife have a son who's 18. He just graduated high school, but we also have a daughter who's 16 and she's special needs. And I think I would say, it's the biggest thing that probably has me and my wife pushing so hard at anything we do is because it's like she'll say, we have a gift that we can move our bodies and we can work out and we can do these things where, our daughter who has special needs can't do those things. So it's like I think, it's one of those things where I want to do stuff to uh because I can, and it
Yeah.
would be a waste to not to. Yeah, let's was it like my daughter was born in 2009, and we didn't think anything of it because they're so young. When we she was supposed to start crawling and doing all those normal development things, she didn't start doing that. So we spent until she was probably 11 trying to find a diagnosis for her and what she had. So
Mm,
we didn't know for 11 years. Most doctors didn't know. We couldn't figure it
wow.
out, couldn't figure it out. So we spent a lot of time, and I think around the time she was born is when we both started CrossFit, me and my wife. Then she got pregnant with her, and I kept doing CrossFit and, stayed in shape and stuff. And then she was born. And then once we kind of started to see that, she was a little behind on development, I think that's where my obsession with throwing my brain into something and going full force in happened. It was like a release.
Yeah.
But once we found, like I said, I think she was about 11. And this is why we love putting our stuff online. And we don't do it like a typical person who, I don't know if they're trying to get likes or followers or whatever, but we just put it out there either hopefully that somebody sees it and is inspired or whatever, to start working out or move or whatever. But we even put our daughter out there, and this is why we love doing it because someone from Australia, she reached out to my wife and said, "Does your daughter have Pitt Hopkins? Because that's what she has." And we're like, "We don't know. We don't know what she has because no one can figure it out." And they're like, "She looks just like my daughter." And they sent a picture of her, and they have the same like features, and they move the same, and their feet look the same. So then we went and
Mm,
had her genetic testing done, and she had Pitt Hopkins. So we would have never found out if we weren't like posting about our daughter doing things. So that's why we love Instagram and posting and all that stuff. It's more for you never know who's
yeah.
going to see it and need something out of it or help us out or help them out from it. So we found out when she was 11 she has Pitt Hopkins syndrome, which at the time she only was like 500 people diagnosed with it, I think, in the world at the time. So it was super rare. Like half the time doctors are like, I don't know what that is when we mention it to them. I
Sorry,
think I
before you go on, can you describe what it is and like the
Yeah.
way it impacts her?
So it's like a neurological delay type of thing. It's a what is it? Let me see. It deals with the chromosome. It's like a God, which is the word? I'm trying to think of. Mutation, a genetic mutation. So it just doesn't allow her to develop correctly. Now, I feel like we've been pretty blessed with what she has because there's a bunch of different versions of it. She can't speak or move on her own. She can move, which, a lot of people see. She walks when we hold her hands, and we were working on crawling the other day and stuff like that. But Some of them can't do that at all. Some can walk
Mm.
normal like we are, and some can even talk, but there's a lot of them that there's some side effects that are really bad, and we just are glad that she pretty much is the only problems is she can't move or, but yeah, so it's just a neurological delay because there's a mutation in one of her chromosomes,
Mm.
and it's not even hereditary. It's just one of those rare something happened. Like they don't even know why or if there's ever a cure for it or anything like that. But yeah, it's just a rare thing that happened to her and she had it. Yeah.
Mm.
So it was crazy. And
And
it was just crazy not finding out till she was 11.
and does she need complete care? Like, is she able to do anything
Yeah.
on her own?
No, like I said, she's 16. We pretty much have to feed her. Like she can feed herself. Like if we put the spoon in, let's say or she's eating oatmeal. If we put the spoon in there, she can grab it and do that. But she can't really scoop yet. She actually just started kind of taking an actual bottle and being able to give herself a drink from it. But she tends to just chuck it afterwards. So we have to stand by her to grab it. So we use a lot of sippy cups and stuff like that still. We still have to change her diapers. So, one of those things, she's a 16-year-old girl and then we're still changing diapers and stuff for her. So that's one of the biggest things I feel like that would be nice that it didn't have to happen. But, like I said, there's a lot of other worse things. But yeah, she pretty much is going to need our care forever. That's probably, my wife would always tell everybody that's where the strongman thing happened. Because I
Yeah.
bought a sandbag 300-pound sandbag, by the way, to
Oh,
carry around. And I was like, I'm going to carry this every day, make sure I can carry it because I'm going to carry Jordan whenever I'm 99. I'm like, I'm going to be 99 years old and I'm going to be able to move her around anywhere I need to. And she's
mm.
like, I don't think Jordan's ever going to be 300. I'm like, well, then I can carry her no matter what weight she is. And that's kind of where she always says that's where the strongman thing started because I bought the sandbag. It was the one thing that started it. But
That's
anyway, but yes, so yeah, she'll pretty much be in our care. She goes to a special needs school now, and I think she can be there till she's 21. And we haven't figured out what we're gonna do after that, because so she goes there every day, just like normal school.
got
But
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know you've been open with it on social media, which I think is just so inspiring and really cool. The fact that it's not like you're doing it to get answers, but when
right,
you do get answers and you find community and support and
yes,
people can say, hey, we share that experience. And
right,
that is really powerful because I'm sure, that can feel like wow, are we alone in this? Are we the only ones experiencing
right,
this?
yeah,
When it's such a rare disorder,
yeah, yeah,
you don't come across people just in your day to day that are experiencing the same thing. And
yeah.
that's tough.
Well, and we like posting it too because you can see it and you hear about it a lot. Like some families, it affects them worse and like they go downhill as a family. I feel like sometimes because it's
Mm.
such a burden either to them or they don't know how to work through it or whatever. And we kind of like want to show like you can still do anything and everything. Like we take Jordan everywhere. Most of the time if someone's asked us, hey, you want to go here? We're like, we're bringing Jordan, and we just make sure we have her doing everything with us. If we go shopping at a grocery store, she's right there. But that's when we work on her walking and holding onto the shopping cart. We kind of just mix stuff together, and we make sure like we have a handicap placard for our car so we could park in a handicap spot, but we usually just park the furthest away and then just either have her walk a little bit and then carry her. And we kind of want people to see like, if you do have a special needs kid, maybe exercise and, something like that will help you take care of them or just help you deal with it. Cause I know that's what it does for me is it kind of helps me deal with it on top of, lugging around a 16-year-old kid when I have to, it makes it easy.
Yeah. I mean, this is like one of the reasons I think you're just so inspiring. Your wife as well, Bridget is her name. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
She's probably a lot better at the whole being a special needs parent than I am. But because she's the mind behind all the therapy stuff we do. So if you see anything done therapy wise, it's probably her doings, and I'm the one in the background saying, "Hey, what do you want me to do? What do you need me to
Well,
do?"
there's a
Yeah.
unique quality that moms possess that dads in most cases don't have. But one, your wife is also incredibly fit,
Yes.
super fit, super strong. I'm not talking like she's fit. No, like she's wicked fit, much like
She
you're
and well, and she's one of those that I consider you. Have you met Kevin? I think he's in our text group. Says he never works out, and then you see him, and he's like just as fit as you. That's
Yeah.
what she is. She's just one of those that is like she misses a week because she's sick or she's, she's a nurse, so she's, too tired, so she has to take some time off. Comes back and she's just as strong as she was and just as fit as she was. I'm like, man, if I took a day off, I wouldn't have that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to come back the same.
I know. And you guys, I mean, I don't know if you would say this. Well, I'm sure you would. You seem like you're very competitive with each other.
Yeah, we definitely used to be for sure. Probably
Okay.
not as much as we used to be just because we kind of don't do the same stuff at the same time anymore. But we used to do the exact same thing all the time, trying to get to the same places. So it was kind of got competitive, actually,
Yeah.
in a good way. Sometimes bad, I guess, but
Well, I I didn't mean to steer us back to fitness. The thing that I
no, you're
wanted
good.
to land was how inspiring you both are in one, just the life that you lead, the care that you have to provide, the selflessness that it requires, because there is no scenario where you're just like, you know what, I'm going to drop everything and do what I want to do.
Right.
That's not a
Yeah.
decision that you have the luxury of making. You have to make
Right.
decisions around your family every day. All the things revolve around can we or can't we? But what I really love is just how easy it would be if someone was in your position. I don't know what the percentages would be, but very high. Let's say 95% of people in your shoes would go, I'm going to take the path of least resistance.
Hmm.
I'm going to go to the grocery store. Let me just run to the grocery store myself. It's just easier.
Yep.
That's a simple example. And you make
Yep.
countless decisions like that each day. But the fact that you're like, no, we're going to do this as a family. We're not going to disrupt, you know,
Yeah.
we're not going to change the way we want to operate as a family. We're
No.
going to keep Jordan involved in everything that we do. That is so cool and so
Yeah.
inspiring. Even knowing that is an additional stress on you. Yeah, it is. Does it take more work? For sure.
Oh
Is it
yeah.
easy? No,
Yeah.
but it's the right thing for you and your family.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
And that was the once we knew she was going to be special needs and kind of got the diagnosis. One thing we wanted to be was just normal, other than the fact that she's 16 and we have to carry her around and move her around and change her diapers and stuff like that still. But we wanted everything else to pretty much be normal. And we also, like our son, he's been great through all this. He could have been one of a kid that saw that we had to pay too much attention to his sister and never paid attention to him, and went off to the dark side or whatever you want to call it. But he was great. He ended up great, I feel like. And now
Mhm.
that he's 18 and we actually can sometimes go on a date without Jordan or go to the store without Jordan once in a while because he just sits at home and hangs out with her while we do that. In the past, Jordan's our third wheel on our dates and stuff, and she still is usually, but for the most part. But we can have the single dates together just without her now because we got our son who will actually help take care of her, and she's more now that she's older. She's in a spot where she doesn't need so much attention at all times, so he doesn't have to feel like he's got to do anything that he doesn't want to do with her. So it does work out. And yeah, we just wanted our everything to be as normal as possible and not be able to not do the things we want to do. Like we'll go to theme parks. We'll just lug her around. We don't care. We carry her through it if we have to. Bridget piggybacks her a lot because of that. If there's no wheelchair accessible, we don't care. We're not those people that are going to start throwing a fit and go
Yeah.
to the manager. Nope, backpacker, put her on there. Like we did what is that, Red Rocks in Colorado, the amphitheater or whatever it's called. There's no wheelchair access to that thing. We took turns hiking her up the stairs all the way to that thing so we could walk her around and let her see the things and hike her through the stuff like that. But, that's why we do what we do, so we can have her experience that stuff and not just sit in her wheelchair. So then that's why it's not for the follows or the likes. It's like we want people to see, like, you don't have to just give up once if something like that happens, even if it's not as big of a deal as having a special needs kid. If anything, happens, you don't have to give up. You can just keep pushing or
Yeah.
keep trying to keep everything as normal as possible.
That's so cool, man. I honestly, I don't have the words to describe just how special that is and cool that is. And like, it really touches me the way that you guys have invested in your family and you have such like genuine positivity. I mean, look, this is just what I observe. It's not
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
sitting in your living room and I get to experience all the things you do as a family, but it sure feels authentic, and it
Yeah.
does feel genuine. And I don't get the sense that the smoke that you're blowing right now is
No.
smoke. It feels real.
And we don't it's not perfect all the time. I'm
Yeah, no
not telling
doubt.
you. There are the bad days where we're just like, we have our tough days. Like, it's funny that you said something a minute ago, but I was just thinking the other day that, my son, he's 18. he didn't want to go to college yet, so he's got a real job, and he's pretty much taking care of himself. He lives in our I don't call it apartment, but it's part of the garage, I guess. He's got a little room, but he still lives at home. But he can take care of himself. We don't have to pay too much attention to him. And I was thinking the other day, I'm like, man, we're at the age, and our kids are at the age where we would typically start getting our life back. Like where most parents,
Yeah.
my kids are off in college. We got
Yeah.
our lives back. That's when the mental thing, whenever something pops in your head like that, where you're not going to have that normal life and Jordan's going to be by our side at all times, it starts to mentally creep in, and you get those dark thoughts of like, man, and you start getting down. And I have those once in a while, and then I just have to go to. That's what one thing that my wife's great with. If I talk to her about those things, she lets me say those things that it's hard to say. Like, this
Yeah.
is it's tough having to know that we won't have our lives kind of back, even though technically we won't lose them. It's just this is that time of life for most parents, so they get to
Mhm.
go start doing their thing again, and their kids are going off on their own, and we're going to have our third wheel all the time. We don't always have good times, and we don't always have perfect mental stability with it, but we just try to keep pushing through all those things and as much as possible. So yeah, it's not all awesome, even though we try to show as much awesome as we can, but we just try not to show too much of the craziness that gets in our heads and stuff like that. But it does happen.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think you'd be crazy not to experience
Yeah.
plenty of seasons of crazy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like I can't imagine a world where you aren't having very human thoughts around what you
Hmm.
just said.
Yeah.
One, I would only be there, like no question. I think I probably have more selfish qualities that would make that really, really hard for me.
It
Like this
is.
has
It's tough.
shaped you in a way. You've got to find the silver lining every single day. There's too many other things you could focus on that you could see
Yeah.
where it would bring
Yeah.
you right down to a tailspin.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, I think that's where, like, not to bring it back to the fitness stuff, but like when I do get that, where I'm pushing my brain so hard on like a leaderboard, and I'm trying to get myself to go so hard on those leaderboards, like a lot of times I've mentally pushed myself so hard there. Those are the times whenever those mental thoughts in my life start to creep in, where I can't control, like, being able to not think of those things. It's like I've overdone my brain and I'm tired and exhausted. So all
Right.
those bad thoughts that I could have, it makes it when those are easy to creep in and get me, kind of thing. I'm not strong enough to know that I can push those out and see the silver lining in things. It's like I don't. So that's one of the hard things with that leaderboarding, when we were talking about that overlays into not just fitness, and it kind of overlays into everything for me if I like, get too far into it.
Yeah, the man, a couple ways I want to go, but what I'm hearing you say that is so now obvious is like, look, you can only take on so much stress in your life, whether that's emotional, physical, psychological. Like, not that I would want to categorize Jordan as a stress in your life, but it ultimately, like, it is
Yes.
in your life. It requires so much attention and so much investment from you.
Yeah.
Stress is a negative way to put it, but
Right.
think of continuing with that word. It's a huge demand. And so then if you contribute what you've got to that as much as that takes, then you're going and investing all of this in fitness, and then investing in your job, and investing in
Hmm.
your son, and investing in the relationship with your wife and your
Yeah.
friends. Like you're distributing yourself in all of these ways, you get just run really thin.
Oh yeah.
And and then back to the leaderboard element, like that can create some real vulnerability there. And if you're already stretched so thin, the darkness starts to become a little
Oh
darker.
yeah. For sure.
Like
Yeah.
totally get that. And so it makes sense where you would just say, you know what, I need to make a radical change in my life. This
Hmm.
is a lot more sense to me for you, because I would do the same thing, I think, in your situation where you've got to make a radical change to uplift an area of your life that allows you to continue to handle the demands of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not
And
going away. Like you
right.
have to be present. You
Yep.
have to invest in this as you should. And so you've got to manipulate these other factors in a way that might seem a little bit, radical to some others, but it's
Yeah.
what's necessary in order to continue to, support your family the way that needs to be
Yeah.
supported.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the mental factor, mostly with all of it together. Like you said, stress seems like a bad word, but it's the demands of every little thing you want to do. Gets very, very tiring. Like there's not many times that I'm switching from CrossFit to something else because my body can't handle it anymore. I'm wanting to just do nothing. Like I can't handle anything at that time. So it's usually when I can tell I'm about to need a break is if I'm not able to handle stuff and everything starts to agitate me.
Gosh, okay. The other big one, I think we could keep talking for a lot longer here, Luke, but the other big one that I want to talk about related to this is your marriage. How would you describe how Jordan has impacted your marriage?
There's times where, it made it a strain on our marriage, like it would, I feel like any marriage if you're, have a special needs because it's, there'll be a point in time where I was probably gone and, when we first knew she was special needs, I probably didn't deal with it very well and I was just spacing out all the time. I was throwing my brain into something else and kind of, disappeared from everything just to get myself to feel better or whatever. At first, I feel like there was probably a big strain on it until, we learned to cope with it. It was probably more arguments than we would have wanted to have as a typical husband and wife. But I also think because we started to work together and, like a team and we created it like we needed to do things as a teamwork. We talked that there's things she's better at with Jordan and there's things I'm better at with Jordan. And instead of trying to get one or the other to do all of it or one or the other to do the things we're good at and hey, would you do this because I'm tired. We just we didn't say let's make a list and you do this and I do that. It was just we kind of worked together as a team where we knew what our strengths were and our weaknesses were and the other one would pick up where the weaknesses were of whoever, of the other one. And I think that's when it made our marriage a lot stronger. And I think once we, started talking a lot with that stuff and be like, hey, I can't do this or I can't do that. We know instead of just throwing it all on the other person, we work together and make sure we talk and stuff. So I think it made it stronger in the long run because of having a special needs and then really wanting to make it as normal of a family as possible. So
That, I didn't want to make any assumptions, but based on just the way you've described the story up until now, it feels like, man, you guys have become so strong.
yeah,
Part of the process of kind of intersecting that with what I've seen on social media and just the way I've heard
definitely
you.
has taken time to get that strong from it though. I mean, like I said, at first it was rocky, but then we just started, learning, like just as a brand new parent almost, it's rocky at first and you have to learn as you go. We were brand new parents on top of brand new special needs parents. So it was like, and then our boy was at that time would have been just 2 years older than her. So when she was born, so he was 2 when we started to have a special needs kid. So, we have a toddler and a special needs kid and she, everything seemed like it was falling apart at that time. It was rocky, but I think in the long run, it definitely made our relationship a lot stronger. And I think because Jordan helped us see the things that don't really matter and the things that do matter and just in life in general that we could be a typical husband and wife and arguing about and it's like why so it's like there's a lot of things that we pass over that we don't worry about so definitely helped in the long run.
And this goes without saying, but it's not just insert Jordan and your guys became as a stronger marriage. That's not what you're saying at all. Obviously you can work at it, but that is the critical point is you really had to work at that.
Yes. Oh yeah.
That doesn't just happen. And so I think that adds to the inspiration of your story, which is like, man, not only are you raising, 2 incredible kids, one with special needs and all the unique demands that places on you, but your marriage has become stronger as a result, not because of, but in addition to this whole process. And it takes 2 very special people that are willing to communicate and, work through some tough stuff to come out on the other side of that in a better place. And, that's, I'm sure just the fathers and mothers and husbands and wives could take some tips from you too on just how to navigate marriage. Maybe that's our next podcast.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I'm going to shift gears again. Thank you again for talking about all of that.
No problem.
Just really cool. I was interested and curious to hear more about your family dynamic, knowing what I knew, very little that I knew. But now let's talk about, for our last topic, MFC. You just completed MFC, I don't know, what was this, like 2-3 weeks ago? I think it was,
Getting close to just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It seems like it was forever ago. It seems like it was forever ago, actually, though.
And you won the 40 to 44 division, which is a really competitive division.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your experience. Like, how did it go? What were your expectations going in? Did you have hopes of did you think you might win?
Well, it was awesome, and couldn't wait to compete in it because I went to it and visited. I just went and watched the guys like 2 years ago when I first started, like when I was talking about joining Mayhem. And when I went and watched it, I was like, man, this thing is like the old school regionals the way it looks. Cause, a lot of
Mm.
I did the old regionals back in 2012, 13. So that was like the best experience in CrossFit back then besides the games. So it's like, man, this is just like that. I got to do this. And I was there watching and I was all excited about it, and then I burned out and didn't do it the next year. I did strongman instead. But so I have been wanting to do it. And I went last year and coached my wife because she competed in it last year. And so I've been excited to do it, and then when I did the qualifier this year, I won the qualifier. So that was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't really wanna normally, I do okay in qualifiers, and then I do better at the event. So I
Mm.
was really nervous that I was gonna go to the event and do worse because I couldn't do any better than 1st place.
Yeah.
But so I always tell my wife I have a couple things I like to think about my goals for the competition. I always have a over the top goal and then a realistic goal and then a goal that I'm okay with if it happens.
Mm.
And I did that, last year with strongman. Every event I would tell her like, here's my ultimate goal. Here's my goal. So this year when I was training, I knew I could do well just from seeing how people were doing and how I did in the qualifier and, seeing how I was doing on boulder and stuff like that. But there's still in the back of my head that I may not do as well, even because I qualified high. But I said my ultimate goal going into it is to do so well. It's like I was Matt Frazier and everybody else is fighting for second. That was my ultimate goal, just to
Oh,
go in there and
or
just
feel right.
dominate it. And then my realistic goal is to hopefully be on the podium. And then I'll be happy with top 5. And anything else I would probably be pretty angry with. Not angry, but like upset.
Yeah.
So when I went there, I knew I could win it just by how I felt and how things were going leading into it.
Mhm.
Everything, all the training had been going good. I had a few ups and downs mentally with training because of leaderboarding and just I got sick in the middle of the summer all of a sudden, which was weird. But so it's a little nerve wracking. That's the hardest part, I think, is prepping for something instead of just actually doing it.
Yeah.
Prepping for it because it's the timeline thing. But no, it was great. It was an awesome competition. I loved it. It was probably the first time though I've competed and not worried about how well I was doing in a workout or in like placing. So like
Mhm.
I placed, I think most of the time I think my worst placing was 5th. So I mean I did well, but like there would be times at competitions I would place 5th place and I would be so upset and mad that I didn't get first. And then it's like, it was one workout. Why does it matter? Because you place high enough, you're gonna come out on top probably. So it was the first
Consistency is
time.
the key in these.
Yeah, it was the first time I went into a competition almost like veteran minded, I feel like, and was like, all I gotta do is just make sure I'm consistent. And, I was real consistent and did well and I had lots of fun. Aside from doing well, I had lots of fun hanging out with the guys, meeting a lot of guys. It was the first time I met Ryan and it was like we knew each other, like I told you, because we
Yeah.
talked so much on text. I don't even think I even said it was great meeting you. It was just one of those things where I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And we just talked like
Yeah.
we already knew each other, and and seeing some of the guys again. So it was great. I had lots of fun.
So you said your goal, your like Uber goal was
Yeah,
first place and dominate.
yeah.
You?
I did pretty good once I got rolling. I had that stint of I think 3 first places in a row or whatever it was. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess I was close by the last day. I guess I had it where they were trying to see who was going to get second place, but it wasn't like a big point spread where it's like, oh.
He's
But yeah,
running
I
away.
was close to the Uber goal, I guess. Yeah, I always
Three
have
first
three
place,
three top goals.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you doing legends?
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't do that one. Well, and wasn't it qualifier? I don't know when. It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was
I
before the
didn't
game.
do it because typically I'm not very good with doing more than one competition a year. And so I was like, I don't want to do the qualifier and then think I have to do it if I qualified, and you know. So yeah, I didn't end up doing it. And then the
Okay.
fittest on the coast, I think, was during
We're
wasn't the
just
qualifier for it just happened, didn't it? It was during MFC basically, and I was like, I'm not even gonna try that. I don't want to
Yeah.
mess up MFC, so I
yeah.
didn't
we
mess with
just
it.
oh goodness. I mean, Fitness of the Coast is a great competition, by the way.
It looked
Anybody
pretty good. Like it's coming around to be another pretty big, like
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to call it local comp, even though it's not, but a side comp or whatever you want to call those big
Mhm.
unaffiliated CrossFit comps or whatever.
I mean, it feels like, again, I'm not the authority to speak on these things, but as
Yeah,
I'm thinking about the big competitions, Legends, MFC, and Fittest to the Coast
yeah,
are at least the biggest ones that I know about outside of the games.
right, right,
If anybody's thinking of like, hey, maybe you're not games level, but you want to go test yourself against some of the best athletes in the world,
for sure.
those three comps will get you there. I mean, there's
Yeah,
some great athletes that
yeah.
compete. You'll get your money's worth, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
and that's why like MFC, like like I have a problem with being like at a competition and wondering if there was enough good people there. Did I win because someone didn't show up, or did I win because so and so didn't compete? But I don't. You don't think that with a competition like MFC, whenever there is a lot of good athletes showing up to do it and qualifying to do it and things like that. So it is a good competition to be able to test where you're at and how well you're doing.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, dude, major congrats again
Thank you.
on winning and doing it in, we're just gonna call it pretty dominant fashion. You
Well,
know,
and the other goal was to, because I just did World's Strongest Man less than a year ago. It was last December. So the original goal was to go to the games right after World's Strongest Man, two different things. But with our daughter's back surgery, I wasn't able to do all that. And so I was like, well, I'll try to go to MFC and do that. And, it was less than a year later, I went from World's Strongest Man, sixth place in the world, to winning a CrossFit style competition, which is like, complete opposite, you strength world to endurance world, I guess, kind
Mhm.
of when you look at it like that. That was a big goal actually that kind of pushed me more into MFC than anything, was wanting to see if I can flip the switch that quick and that easily. You hold on to your fitness and your whatever you want to call it a lot better than most people think, I feel like. Because I didn't really do any kind of CrossFitting during strongman other than carrying sandbags and yokes around and stuff like that. But I was
Well,
the fit guy. I was the fit guy in strongman. It was kind of fun.
yeah,
I was the
yeah.
super fit guy in strongman.
You're the endurance athlete in
Yeah, I
strong.
was. Yeah, and I
So,
think it carried me a long way
yeah,
in
and
strongman
then in
because the
CrossFit, you're the
yeah,
strongman. Which
exactly, yeah,
happens to
and
be really frequent.
doing strongman, like the endurance and the fitness I had carried me quite a bit further compared to some of the guys that were way stronger than me. I would beat them in events that their maxes were probably double mine, but I would beat them in the events that were fairly heavy and for reps and stuff. But and the same thing with CrossFit. I get to CrossFit and there's plenty of guys that have more endurance than me, but because I can move a barbell or whatever, I'm able to hang in there a lot better with my endurance and my strength. So
Yeah.
I feel like those two things, if you want to get good at CrossFit, it's like bounce back and forth between those, because it's crazy how both affected CrossFit so well for me. I've never even had anything affect it like that. Not even Olympic weightlifting, because you would think that would, because it's so much into CrossFit world. Yeah.
Well, I think you have some people considering the strongman world right now that probably weren't considering it before. For our listeners, if you've not checked out Luke on social and seen some of his abilities, you got to go check that out. They're pretty,
You can use my picture from there with me carrying the car or
yeah,
pulling the fire truck.
there's a
Well,
couple good
those are
ones.
my two favorite little things I did during strongman, was I got to carry a car and pull a fire truck. So
I hope those don't
those are
show up in CrossFit. Nobody should do crazy ideas here. And I'm glad, well, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but when you said you're not doing legends, there was a
yeah.
part of me that just went, oh, that's probably good for me.
Yeah.
I'll be there. And
Well,
one of
good.
these days, Luke, you and I are going to show up at the same competition and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a battle, buddy. It'll be
I
great.
know. Hey, that's what I like though.
Yeah.
Everybody always, like you said, like some people, where they wonder, I always wonder if the person showed up that I should beat. Not, I hope they don't come. Things like that. So yeah, like you said, we'll be able to throw down and it'll be a battle. And that's the fun part about it. You
Heck
know,
yeah, man.
as much as I said I wanted to win by make everybody, that top dream is win, so everybody's chasing second place. It's fun to have to battle, even though it's like nerve wracking. But it's not fun if you're not having to push a little bit, because then you're at least competing. You're not just there hanging out.
Well, I need to go get a win under my belt, that which will be a big accomplishment and certainly nothing that's I'm taking for granted. I got to work my tail off, but
Yeah.
that's my aspiration. That's the first time I've said it out loud. But yeah, do I want to go win Legends? You bet I do. That's
You get
on.
there's a lot of good competitors going to Legends probably from the games, isn't there?
Oh
That
yeah,
you competed with, I bet. Because
yep.
isn't Gibbons probably going? He was at the games, and then
Oh yeah.
isn't he going to Legends probably?
I don't know. I should. I just talked with him, and now I'm.
That's where I thought maybe I was heard it somewhere. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
He
Maybe it
just
was just I
won.
heard because he always does all the qualifiers.
He does. He just won the fittest of the coast qualifier, and man, talk about he was very motivated to win that qualifier. He did each workout several times, and that takes a unique individual to do that too. So kudos to him. He certainly earned it.
Yeah, he's one of those that I was always checking on whenever I was doing the qualifiers for MFC because I knew he won MFC the year before me last
Yep.
year, and I don't know him, but he was the name I saw win that, and I saw he won fittest on the coast, didn't he win that and stuff? So I was like, and he always seemed like he won a lot of qualifiers or was top three, so I was always checking his scores on MFC to see how I was doing with him. He was one I was kinda hoping showed up to MFC when he done the qualifier because I was like, "I wanna see how I do against him," but, the
Yeah.
games, I figured it wouldn't have happened because he just did the games, but that would've
Yeah.
been fun.
I mean, shout out to Zach. He's a super good dude, and I really enjoyed getting to know him. And man, he's so fit. He is so
Yeah.
fit, and so yeah, I've really like over the last year gotten to know some really fit folks that I
Oh,
respect and
yeah.
appreciate, have a real sense of like, oh no, their fitness is real. It's not some like ghost numbers
Yeah.
they're putting up on the leaderboard. These guys are really fit. And so that is good for me. It helps me check in on kind of where I'm at, and
Yeah.
it's very humbling.
Yeah.
Occasionally there's some workouts that align to my skills. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, that worked out good. But there's many that I feel like I'm chasing, an incredible gymnast or somebody with incredible
Yeah.
endurance or something that's super strong, and yeah, all of which is making me better. So I'm game.
Oh, yeah. That's good. I'll be watching the Legends for sure.
All right, man. I'll try to make you proud, buddy.
Good.
Well, thanks again. Tell the family hey for me, and I
Will
know
do.
Bridget is a huge fan and cheerleader of yours.
Ah,
And at one point, she reached out to me and was like, "You and Luke need to connect," and
yeah.
that said a lot. And I shout out to Bridget. Thanks for saying that, and I'm
If
grateful
it
that we
wa I
kind of
wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for her, I don't think, because I question everything I do. As much as it seems like I'm confident in myself and I'm good at the stuff I do, I will second guess how good I am at something or if I should do something or if I should do that or this. And she's like, just do it. And at MFC, she was like my coach. She took care of Jordan at the same time. She made sure I was warming up at the right time. She's like, go do this. And then I'd come back and she's like, do this because I'd get to talking or something with all the guys. And so she was our house mom because we all stayed at an Airbnb. She cooked our supper every night for us. So
oh man,
we had a home cooked meal every night after each day of competition, sitting at the table ready to go after our last workout. It was great. So yeah, it was a I don't think I would have done as well if she didn't do that for us. I may
yeah,
have still won, but I don't think I would have had my top tier goals so close if it wasn't for her, you know, keeping me on track and making sure I had my head on straight and ready to go and definitely eating pretty good because I wouldn't have ate very good probably. It would have been just go to a restaurant and get whatever I could get. So
okay. Well, now we know that she was a secret to your success. It's out.
she was the secret. You gotta have somebody back there doing all the hard stuff for you and make you look good.
No doubt about it. All right, man. Happy Friday. Go enjoy your weekend. Happy Halloween.
As I say, it's happy Halloween. Yeah, maybe have to have some candy tonight. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Or it's gonna be tempting, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, definitely. It's hard at school around all the kindergarten. I teach kindergarten through third, so they're having their Halloween parties and stuff like that, and it was hard not to just go join the party and grab some cupcakes and stuff like that just for
Yeah.
fun. But
I'm like that's the thing. I have to control my environment because if I get around something,
ah,
it's like speaking to me. And then if I
yep.
break the seal and eat one thing,
Yeah,
now it's
that's me. That's why I always said I was like when I started strongman, I did the whole thing. I'm like CrossFit wasn't for me. I'm like it's got to be strongman. I'm like I love to eat, and once I start eating, I don't stop.
yeah.
And I'm like it doesn't matter what I weigh in strongman. And it's one of those things that it I was like started to get unhealthy because I was like oh I can eat that. It doesn't matter. It'll make me stronger.
That's right.
So
Weight helps.
so yeah, I'm the same way though. I gotta just kind of turn my brain off of if I'm in the room of a bunch of food, it's got to be I almost have to zone out and just be like, no, you don't need it. You're okay. You're
Yeah.
all right.
Finger foods and I.
Yeah.
have a very complex relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way. Same way.
Okay, buddy.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me on here.
Team, thanks for checking out the Boulder Athlete Podcast. We are so grateful that you did. Wherever you're watching or listening, please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more stories from this great community.